Um, Welcome to our very first episode of I Am Dharma Talk with Rabia Lahi. That's me. I am here with my beautiful, amazing, talented team, Jonathan Mann, Nicole Wiseman. If y'all want to say hello, if you want to, no, that's okay. They're shy. Um, they are the geniuses behind the scenes that who are um, helping me put all of this together. And I'm really grateful that you guys are here.
As
And
always.
yeah, thank you. From time to time, I will probably be speaking with each of them individually to just talk about the different things because y'all are different generations than I am. Both of you are millennials. Both of you have different backgrounds and all of that stuff. Yeah. And I think the more diversity of voices we have, the better it is for anyone listening. My goal for creating a podcast was actually what I was seeing. I'm a psychotherapist, and what I was seeing a lot in my office was all of this loneliness and sadness and feeling like real life didn't match up to all the other lives on that my clients were seeing from family and friends on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And the digital age has done a lot for us and also is isolating because it's lonely. We're listening by ourselves, we're on the phone by ourselves, we're texting. There's just a lot of loneliness. So then I thought, why not use the medium to join with any of you who are feeling alone or disconnected, lonely, or feeling that your life just doesn't match up to the lives of everybody else. And we know intellectually it's a facade, but when you're actually there, it's hard to think that, oh, everyone's life has moments that suck. But it's true. Everyone's life has that if we have a real life. So throughout all of the episodes in this podcast, my goal is really to help inform and hopefully inspire and super hopefully enlighten you and maybe show you that you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm here with you. These guys are going to sometimes be there with you on voice, but they're always behind the scenes. So this thing of loneliness, of isolation, I am curious, from the outside world, both of you are young. You're 23, Jonathan. Nicole, you're 27. Yeah. So young, and I picture in my generation, like, oh, y'all must be have this huge social circle and do all of that. So what's it like for you?
In regards to what specifically?
To isolation, loneliness and isolation.
Where do I begin?
I don't know.
I think it's really weird because we are on a cutoff generation. Like directly under me is like a generation that feels entirely different than the one that we're a part of.
Okay.
So I can kind of understand where you're coming from because, well, like for example, like my little cousins, they're on Snapchat and stuff, and they're always on social media. They have streaks going on with their friends, you know what I mean? So that means that every day they're sending messages back and forth, but they do it just to have the number on their profile. So they'll send like a blank message every day just to have a number tick.
Oh.
So like, yeah, it's really weird seeing from our perspective, like their new view of the same stuff that we've had, even though we just got it,
So then the ticks or the likes
It's like
mean that you're more valuable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Which is the issue, right? Because the likes mean nothing really.
Right.
But you still get the little rush of, I feel validated by someone.
I know.
So
someone saw me.
Yeah, even if you know, because it happens to me all the time.
Mhm.
It's like, I want them, but I don't want them. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like, part of
Yeah.
it, it's like, well, at least I have some people that like something.
Yes.
It doesn't feel that alone then.
But there are, that is also what's isolating or what makes it worse, because one like isn't enough.
Right.
And you want more and more and more, like maybe heroin or an opiate. Like it's an opioid in a sense.
Yeah, it triggers the dopamine receptors.
Yes.
Same way.
Yeah. I want to share with you guys, I came to this country at the age of 6.5. And back home in my own country, it was such a sense of being in a group. Like I was with my tribe in a country where I spoke the language, I looked like other people and all of that. And then coming to the United States, not knowing English, the loneliness was profound. And this is way back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Loneliness was profound because in a lot of other countries, you have people living together or near each other. It's collective cultures. And the US isn't really like that. And over the years, obviously I learned how to speak English, but over the years, not fitting in anywhere actually really has helped me fit in everywhere. And relate to, there's not a person I know who doesn't feel that he or she doesn't fit in.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone? Like I can't think of anyone. I mean, there are places and moments.
Yeah, everyone just grapples with identity or like feeling part of belonging.
Yeah.
It's really weird because there's a disconnect where we understand that. We know that in a broad sense, everybody is like the same as us and that they all go through the same things. But when you're looking at it on social media, it doesn't come across the same.
Yeah.
And like there is that still expectation, or like expectation, because like the way I have my social media set up, I like direct message my friends, but I don't post anything.
So
same.
Really?
Yeah, I do that more often than not.
Explain that to me, because that's like I don't understand that. What does that mean?
So for me specifically, because I know I don't have the mental capacity to put up the facade. That's why I look up to in a certain way to those that post every day, not because it's like part of their image or whatever. Because it's hard. It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I find it exhausting. So just to post maybe a little story of something that I really appreciate, it's not like permanently in your feed because there's so much pressure there.
Yeah.
Or even just like sending things like, oh, look what I found, and I send it to a friend. You still maintain a connection through that type of social media, but you're not like putting this facade towards like those you don't know that would go into your profile to see your
So
face.
then it's you're choosing who you connect with or who connects with you as well. Yes?
And what you put out there.
Okay.
And it's like a small distinction from making a private profile, because it's like very similar, like not posting anything, but a private profile also just feels different, like, because it's not about like, I feel like that's like closing yourself off for a reason, which is usually what people have when they have something to hide,
I feel the same way. That's why I have my profile is so public.
Yeah.
And my friends also ask me, why do you have it public? Why do I want to hide it? Like that doesn't make sense.
Oh, see, this is fascinating. Any of you listening that identify with this, leave a comment. This is fascinating to me because, and I'm a parent, so I don't know the world from the perspective you guys are bringing in, you know? What got each of you sort of interested in getting into the digital thing with me for this podcast? Or even like podcasts. Like, actually, what do you get out of podcasts? I just asked like 3-4 questions.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pick one, anyone.
Well, I get motivated when I listen to podcasts.
Mhm.
Of course, it depends which one I listen to, and it varies between like my mood and the season that I'm in. But I just get motivated. It's like, oh, you know what? Like, especially when the host becomes very vulnerable or the
Mhm.
guest or whatever. It's like, oh, I feel exactly the
Mhm,
same way. We're
mhm.
such different people, but
Mhm.
I feel the same way. Or even if I don't like connect in that way, still like in a way, sometimes I just get motivated. It's like, yeah, okay, I can do
Yeah.
do great things. It's fine. Like, no pressure. Keep going. Do
Yeah.
your thing.
Oh.
So it's like a nice support system that's
Mhm.
very intangible.
And yet not, right? Because
It's abstract.
it's actually energy, and we can't see it yet, but we feel it. So you feel the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful.
It's really weird that you brought that up, like, because I've been thinking about that a lot. It's also really weird that I've been given this opportunity, you know? I started listening to music in college, like a lot, just to fill up my time. Anytime that I was like alone, I'd have my headphones in, listening to something, and then I quickly switched over to podcasts. And podcasts have been there, like, for me as a way to just like be able to occupy my time and not feel like I'm alone. And I'm able to go about my personal business. Like, I'll be able to do errands in public, like shopping, with headphones on, while I feel like confident, you know, because you're not focused on the outside world. You're focused on yourself and what you're
all of
listening to.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool being able to be a part of the team that could bring that for anybody else.
Well, it is. Podcasts are a brand new world, even though they've been around for a few years. And everything moves so quickly now, as far as the evolution of technology. Yeah. Both of you are bilingual. Do you listen to podcasts in different languages?
Good question. I used to listen to one in Spanish, but it was just they were just like talking gossip, or I wasn't
chatter.
Learning. Yeah, it was a lot of just chatting, and I just really like the energy. They're a couple, and they just have like such a great energy between them. But I wasn't gaining anything out of it. Like, if I were learning something from it or learning something in myself, like based on what they were saying, then sure, I would continue listening to them. But no, I normally listen to English podcasts. Yeah.
I also listen to like only English podcasts, but I also like the kind that are just like talking like nonsense stuff that sometimes even I don't care about, but I care about who's saying it. So it's a good way to just like fill up time. Yeah, just like English is my primary, just because that's my primary language that I speak. But it's for that purpose, you know.
Interesting. You know what, I think it must be such a across the board human thing, right? To not feel alone, to feel like we belong somewhere. And language does that, and even the energy of the voices, can do that. And maybe it's the equivalent of, in the years I lived alone, I remember putting on the TV just for background noise.
I feel like it's like very similar.
Yeah, and it had to be something that I didn't like, the news or something. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like white noise in a way.
Yeah, I do that, or did that. I still do with like lighter shows that I've already seen, like Parks and Rec or 30 Rock. I've seen them 1,000 times, but I really haven't. At the same time, they're just like, I'm just playing it. And
I don't know why I can't do that, but I do that with podcasts. Like, I can't rewatch a show that I've seen a bunch of times, but I'll have podcasts like more than I can listen to, just to have on in the background. Like, I like watching the video or the audio or whatever, like just to have the video on in the background, or the audio when I'm in public or whatever. And like, I have different podcasts for different purposes, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, one of the main things, besides informing, inspiring, and enlightening, I want you guys, as the listeners, to know that there's way more that connects us than separates us. And it's such a critical time, I think, for people to feel under attack and disempowered. And this is a way of uh, using the privilege of having a platform to share. Because maybe in sharing, someone finds out that, oh, okay, oh, I'm like that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we feel there's just way more connecting us.
Yeah. It's good to know when you say platform, like, sure, this podcast is a platform, but your voice with the one person that you talk to is also a platform. Maybe a friend or literally a stranger you just met, or your brother, your sister. It doesn't matter. Like, that is so a platform.
It is a platform, right? The DoorDash person that delivers your food is someone you can actually affect, you know, by kindness. Or I'll tell you, through my career, I have worked with clients who have been through periods of feeling suicidal, you know, and just being at that last little edge. And it's always the most random thing that saves them from making that decision. And every single time, it's connection. Connection, whether it's eye contact or a smile or something, you know, it doesn't solve their problems, but in that minute, the dopamine kicks in and we see each other in eyes, right? So, and we see ourselves in looking in eyes. And so I just think, yes, every single day we are all walking around on with the platform of privilege, speaking up and doing something.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to remember that. Because there are days, like, to me, that was yesterday, where I was like, no, I'm alone. Yeah. Like, no one is going to listen to me. Like, I was just shut off. Like, literally walking to the supermarket, it's like, no one understands me. I'm just angry at everyone right now. Can't express myself. But probably that's just how I'm in my head. Like, people will not necessarily see you that way. And if you, like, it's all temporary. Like, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a good thing to remind yourself, like, yeah, you may feel crappy right now, but that's just gonna go away. Remember that we're all connected.
We're all connected. Yeah. Yes, we're all connected, and we're much more similar than dissimilar. Even though each of us, we're so different on the external, right? And maybe even on paper, we'd be different. But the hearts are so similar, you know?
Yeah.
And the desire to do something good, to give back in some way that helps.
Yeah. That's always been a big part of my life. And it's weird, like, seeing the evolution of that. When I was in high school, my mom had this group that she was a part of. And, like, I volunteered to join. And it was, like, just volunteer work in your spare time. That was just whatever opportunity came up, like cleaning the beach over there in South Texas. There's South Padre Island, that was the closest one. And or cleaning the streets, or just like having an event where people get together and like organize those thoughts, you know,
to make the community better.
Yeah. And so, like, I never really was a big part of that, but I joined for events. Just because I like the feeling of, like, every now and then disconnecting from myself personally and doing my part for
the greater good.
Yeah. And so I think about that, like, pretty often. I'd say, like, on the daily, I think about what can I do, or what am I doing that's affecting other people, because I know in the past, like, other people's actions have affected me, and I want to bring that in a positive light.
Yeah. You know, you just reminded me, Jonathan, you're from the Valley. And so I don't know when you guys might be watching, listening. It happens to be a day where the current president is in El Paso, I think, to do a rally on building the wall. And and I think Beto O'Rourke is doing a rally on his side about not having a wall, you know? And it sort of, that's on like the political stage, but I think it goes to the spiritual and internal lens, right? Because one is about separation. If you're there, that color, that nationality, that gender, whatever, then you're over there and I'm behind here because I need to protect, you know. And the other viewpoint, the Beto O'Rourke, Marianne Williamson, Oprah, like those, even Barack Obama, like talking about that we really are each other's keepers in a way. You know, we all are human beings on this planet, and we always help those that have less access to the things that are the rights of everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so I see it as a real divide. But I'm curious if y'all have any, like, if you want to share anything on that.
When you were talking about like literally this division, the thought of the other and othering people came to mind.
Yep.
Which is something that just comes from fear, because other is very different.
Yes.
It is the unknown.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to keep things separate. If you don't know anything about them, if they look different from me, if they speak a different language than me, then it is not good in a way, because you don't know what it is, and it's daunting. And creating that separation just creates more fear, because it creates more othering of the other
like
people.
Not behind that wall, you know.
Yeah, exactly, because it creates even more like unknownness, because it's like literally you can't see anything behind that wall. When it's not the other person, when you learn more about other cultures, languages, people, whatever it may be, you create some kind of connection, even if you don't like them, even if you don't agree with them, even if whatever, if you don't understand them, at least you know that they exist. Which for some reason also what came to mind was that's why having like a variety of people in things like the media and TVs and movies is so important. Because that way people get more familiar, I guess, with seeing different types of faces and languages and cultures. That's why like representation is so important in that aspect specifically.
100% agree. What about you, Jonathan?
Well, I just moved from the Valley a few months ago, maybe like 4 at this point at most. And like while I was there, I knew a divide existed, you know. I was around the public, and I never really noticed it myself personally. But on social media and from other experiences that friends have recounted, like it's noticeable that there are people even in the Valley. Like my mom just came back up here to visit me, and for a separate reason, and she told me that was around the time that Trump went down to McAllen. It's kind of closer to the area that I lived. And there was a huge set of protests that wasn't really like publicized on like both sides.
Okay.
And I was really surprised by that, because like nobody really talks about it, I guess, in front of each other, unless they feel comfortable with like this other person having the same views as them. But it was really surprising to me that in the Valley there are like, now it's not as surprising, but there are like a mix of everybody everywhere, and a mix of every opinion, you know?
So you were saying that there are people there that want the wall, that want the division?
Well, I don't know per se, but I know that there are people who are supporting Trump.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are people that I mean, tons of people, I think, in every city, county, which is the beauty of being in America, is that you get to have different opinions. It's just gotten to be scary now, you know, to have different opinions. Although I hope love ends up winning out, brotherhood, sisterhood, and feeling proud to be an American and what being American stands for. Um, I hope that wins out.
Yeah, so do I.
It's good to remind yourself that constantly.
Yeah.
Because again, with the whole othering, because everyone's so divided, and,
Yes.
and like you also mentioned, people only talk to people that they know think like them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're just talking in an echo chamber,
Right.
instead of talking to other people, thinking that they would be either attacked or reprimanded or
Yes, judged
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's a change in the way that we've started talking. Like, people are now getting more attacked for having like differing opinions, you know?
Yeah.
So that's another contributing factor to like why people are keeping to themselves and their groups, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I you guys have heard me say this before, but I want to say it to anyone who's listening or watching. Fear is contagious. Fear limits our thoughts. Fear limits our visual field. We literally see, think, and feel less when we're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And fear is so contagious that someone says there is this, army of people coming for you and they're all brown, watch out. There are people that don't know anyone who's brown or anyone who's Latin or Muslim even, don't know any of that. And so for them, it becomes very, very real.
Yeah.
And our brain doesn't know reality from fantasy.
Yeah.
And so the body reacts as if you are right now in this moment under threat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we can't have differing opinions. You know what I mean? Like, we can't hear when we're in a state of fear something that's different.
Mm-hmm.
We only pick out selectively what validates the fear that we're feeling.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a self-fulfilling thing. That's where we also get that, not evidence bias, observation bias and all of that. And it's rough. I remind myself when I start going into that fear space and feeling attacked by policies and all of that, okay, let me focus on something I love. That's when I reach for my daughter or I talk to someone I love, because that's the only antidote.
Yeah. It's something that I thought of a completely different example. Because I grew up in a Jewish community in Latin America, so it's very different. But I remember having conversations and people saying things like, "Oh no, you can't talk to them because of XYZ," like within the Jewish community, about like, I don't know, people from different religions or that look differently. Or I don't remember specific examples, but I remember people's reactions of, you have to fear them.
Yeah.
And in my mind, all I can think of was, why are you fearing them? They're also people. Like, they also have fears like you do.
Yeah.
So in a way, like, it's hard when you're with fear, but if something pops into your head and thinks, hey, they're also people, or something that creates some type of empathy and putting yourself into their shoes, and it helps to find that human connections, because they're also human, and people aren't there to like destroy you or like do bad things to
you. Something you just now said, when I think of toddlers, they couldn't care less. They'll play with anything and anybody, and the more disgusting it is, the more they'll play with it. There's so no judgment, which is how we were probably born to be, which is, oh, you want to play? Okay, let's go play. I don't care what color you are, religion, and any of that.
Yeah.
So,
well, like, now that I'm thinking about it a little more, in the Valley, everyone is like closer in culture, like less of a diversity, so more of a like unified feeling there.
Yeah.
Everyone is more Hispanic and like bilingual, and so it feels like a very welcoming place from a certain perspective. Like if you can, like if you manage to steer away from it, like you will never experience any kind of prejudice. But then, like coming over here, I've noticed that. Oh, well, by the way, like in the Valley, like a lot of people who support Trump, it's also because, like for some reason, like there's a huge population that's like involved with like police and border and everything. So they want to associate with some of his ideals that they like pick and choose their definitions, and so that's why like a lot of people over there kind of, I don't know the word.
Do they feel like he's on their side, or
I feel like they want to feel like he's on their side. You know, like they will make it work. Well, the people I'm talking about, the specific ones who fit that criteria. But it's like over there, the field of work is so small. Like either you work for the police or you work as a cashier somewhere or you work in an office. Like a lot of the population there wants to feel like secure.
Oh, okay.
And
so maybe he's keeping people out that would make their lives less secure.
I don't know about that. Potentially. But it's also a lot about like job security.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's you know, even as we're talking about it, I can feel like, I don't know. I don't even want to go to that space of feeling like I need to be careful, you know?
Right.
And not that it's not good to be careful. I think it's good to be aware. But we're way more aware when we're unafraid.
I understand what you mean, though, because of the audience's perception of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
That's like, I've tried to correct what I said like 5 times.
Oh.
Yeah, I felt that for me. You have to be PC nowadays.
Yeah, well, fuck PC. Excuse me. I hope no one under 18 is listening to this. Or please listen if you're under 18. No, I appreciate what y'all are saying, and I appreciate your support and encouragement in this whole process, in believing that we're so much more similar than different.
Definitely.
And that that we have the blessing of being on a platform in the podcast sense, even though we have a platform every day. But it is a privilege to be able to speak to one person, 2 people, or 100 people. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
So if you, we hope you guys will subscribe. We hope that you'll leave your comments.
Rate us. Review us.
Review us. Yes, please review us. We read everything. These guys definitely read everything. And I often read everything. But we'd love to know how you feel and your input, and you'll be getting more from us very soon. Over and out.